Wow. Wow. We got a lot of space, Melanie.
Yeah, but can we read the comments from here? I didn't grab my glasses.
I have my glasses and I don't know if I can. Of course, I can't see distance. So, oh no, it's not the camera.
All right, guys. Hi.
There we go.
We got Zach and Maria so far. Hi. Hi, ham. Canned ham. Oh, I love canned ham. Now you're talking. So we're not sure if we can see the comments from here, but how does the sound to you guys?
We have the 30-second pause, and it's a different topic tonight. So coming up with the order is not as easy.
Yeah. Well, we're a little more distant from it than when we did the sound check today. I thought that might help even better as long as you can hear us okay. You'll see me keep leaning forward because I really can't see the comments from here.
Neither can I.
And I really didn't grab my glasses, but that's okay. We'll wait until about 5 after and see if anybody else comes. Maybe we're just doing a private one for them.
There we go. Although I do say, like I said, I think she'll show up. She was asking when it was.
Oh, Becky's here.
Yay, we're good.
Hey, Becky. How do we sound to you? We've done some microphone adjustments on the computer, and Zach and Maria have helped me with that on their end. Sloopy's not sure what to do. She's currently roaming and sniffing Marissa because we are where she likes to be.
Not Thursday either.
Yeah.
That throws her off every time.
She likes a routine and she likes to be on the couch right now. And she is not happy that we are right on the end she wants to be on. Well, I guess she's going to join us up here. Come on, Sloop. Come up here. Let everybody see you. Oh, they love to see you. I guess you're going to be right on the live tonight. Becky says, you sound great. Look beautiful. That's good because I was not looking beautiful on the test run. It was pretty scary. I told Zach and Maria, I said, I got to figure out something before the live. I look like an old hag tonight. It was even scaring me. Oh, goodness. Okay. About 3 more minutes before we get started. You guys got anything interesting to tell us tonight? We had a little bit of a snowstorm yesterday. Nothing too major, but the roads were a little bit slippery when we come back from Graham's last night because they hadn't really put anything down on the roads and it was like adhering.
Yeah, I think they got more a little farther south, but Mom was saying theirs started like in the night and then ours didn't even start till mid-afternoon yesterday.
Yeah, because we left Graham's around 2. Corey wanted to get home before dark. Marissa did the sweatshirt fit.
Yes, it did.
Zach says, I did my sing-along for Jacob tonight. Awesome, Zach. What did you sing to him tonight? I told Zach maybe he needs to come sing a week.
Well, there we go.
He's been singing to Jacob most nights.
You know, it never works.
Oh, goodness. Did everybody have a good day? My day went by so fast. I can't believe that we're at 7 o'clock already.
Yeah.
It was just zooming through every task to try to get here. Well, I thought 7 might be a real popular time.
Right.
It's not looking good.
Well, the other thing is, though, it's not our normal day.
No, it's
So
not.
got to throw people off.
I may want to ask him. Well, hopefully he'll play it for me. Okay, 1 more minute until we get started. Maria, I made your chicken recipe. It was awesome. I love that recipe. I need to make that for potluck at church and then do a big crock pot of the mashed potatoes. They would love that.
Mm,
And that would be so easy.
yeah.
Oh, Maria, you're so sweet. I'm almost through my 32 ounces of water. I'll be through it by the end of this. And then I'm going to try to drink 32 ounces of boiling water tonight. But I didn't dare do too much water before the live, if you know what I'm saying. And Marissa, that tip of boiling my water, I can chug it. Like,
There you go.
There's no end to how much
Yeah.
I could drink.
I can't stand hot water. I don't like hot drinks though.
Yeah.
That much.
I do.
Mom, it drove me nuts as a kid because she's like, "Can I have a glass of hot water?" Hot water. Okay. So yes, I got used to boiling water for my mother and pouring her a glass of hot water.
I wish you could have seen the look on my grandmother's face yesterday when she was asking about the water challenge. And then she gave me a cup of coffee and she asked me if it counted. And I said,
Right.
no, just water. And I said, but I really prefer it boiled. And she gave me the look, the honest to God look. She was like, are you kidding me?
Right.
But Jacob laughs at me because he likes to make homemade slush puppies.
Mhm.
And I tell him I can't drink one past 3:00, that it gels me up and I can't digest my food or sleep. And he laughs and he's like, it's ice, Mom. It melts. It cannot gel you up all night if you drink a slushy past 3. So I told him about preferring the water boiled, and he said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Who drinks boiled water? And I said, well, I think the cold water where it's winter and it was cold was gelling me up.
Oh, yeah.
He was super, super disgusted, but I figured out that is the key for me to drinking a lot of water. And Maria has figured out she doesn't like the taste of her well water. So what is making her be able to drink a lot is taking bottled water and then pouring it into her glass.
Yeah.
So
some people do have some different water.
I might have a new pork recipe. Oh, that'll be good, Maria. Jacob loves pork chops. Awesome. I might need to do a video of just your recipes, Maria, because I'm going to cook them, but I don't know if I can get to them fast enough. I kind of have my video scheduled for the whole month so far. Slippy, you can't be doing that. And you can't be on the live with your face looking like that. Come
I
here.
think I'm gonna have to sit on the edge of the couch so that I can
Okay.
not feel like I'm.
Oh, we got 6 people now. We might as well get started. If you're just arriving, thank you for joining us. We were just killing a little bit of time, giving everybody a chance to arrive. So if you popped in and heard some really weird conversations that didn't pertain to power outages, that would be why. So Marissa and I have a lot of experience with power outages. She lives one town over from me, and our power is out all the time. I think my power is out more than hers.
Yeah,
because
I'm right on the main road.
Yeah, she's on the main road, and we have a private. What's it called? Can't think.
Oh, I just had it too.
Anyways, we have something power wise that pertains to just our house, so we can actually be out when nobody else in town is out. So we have so much experience with it. And over Christmas week, I had a 3-day power outage and she had a 4-day power outage. And Maria's on here and she had a 4 or 5-day power outage. So we thought, let's come on, talk about our experience with power outages, answer any questions that you guys might have on power outages. And we just thought that'd make a really good live. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and ask them. And Marissa, do you want to start by explaining to them during the last power outage how you couldn't get home and why?
Oh, sure. So I work in town. For us, that's about 30 minutes out. And there are only 2 roads into our town. Well, we're in 2 different towns, but only two roads in. And I was keeping up on the news about the town and the roads online, and it wasn't looking too good. Both roads had some trees come down. One good thing about living farther out is not all of your roads have power lines. So one of the roads, the power line stopped partway up, and I was able to get all the way into the town that I live in. And then there's one road left to my home. There's a couple of small back roads that go part way, but there's only one road left to take to get to my house. And when I tried to get to my house, the back roads were all blocked with trees down on power lines, and the main road had a really large tree right across the road and also on the power line, which meant I could not go home. Thankfully, I grew up in this town. I know the Jordans, and I have friends in the area, so I knew that I was safe to just knock on a door, which not everybody is used to. That is something we're used to, but not everybody's used to. But I knew I was safe to do that, and so that's what I did. I knocked, said, "Hi guys, you weren't expecting me, but I'm here. I can't get home." I think I tried 3-4 times over the evening.
Yeah, because Jacob went out with a chainsaw and had got some stuff and thought he found a way for her to get home,
Right.
but he hadn't.
So
And at one point while she was here, she was able to get here, but this is how good and faithful God is. After she got here, 3 trees went down in the road by our house.
yeah,
So had she been an hour later
Yeah.
coming home from work, she couldn't have gotten to us. So one of the things that I think you guys might want to consider for a power outage plan, which I wouldn't have thought of until this last power outage, is if you don't live in a small community where you know people that you could go stay with them if something like that happened, you might want to have enough money on you to be able to get a motel room or something like that in case something like that was to happen, because that would be pretty bad. Like, she didn't have power for several days after. So to just sit in her car on the side of the road and wait for them to come along and remove the trees, that wouldn't have worked.
no,
And I never, all my years of being in this house, 17, 18 years, something like that,
right.
I never thought before about that. And now I'm not as short on money.
Right.
But if something like that had happened to us a long time ago and we didn't pre-plan and have that little wad of money for that type of an emergency, we would have been in trouble.
And I think the difference between, your 17 to 18 years here and even all of my years at this house is like you've done the stay-at-home wife and mother. My mom did the stay-at-home wife and mother. You both homeschooled. So even if there was a power outage, who was trying to get home? It was usually the guys, and they do have a backup with work and stuff like that.
That's true. Yeah.
It was never us.
That's
so
true.
It wasn't until this year that I had that realization that I needed some kind of a backup of even just, knowing that some of the other people that I work with, knowing where they live, because there are some that live between where we work and where I live, knowing where they live so that I can knock on the door and go, "Hey, I can't get home." Was good to stop and think about and know.
So there's some really fresh information for you guys to consider. So thankful you were safe. Yes.
Me too.
I was getting very concerned knowing she was about the time she was going to be coming home from work. So when I heard her vehicle pull in, I was so relieved. I was like, I think I said right out loud, "Thank God it's Marissa. She's here." And I preferred to have her with me that night, as wild as it was, to have her home.
The one worry I had was Spud was home by himself that night. It was about, what did I say? It was 23 hours. He was home all by himself. Scared me so bad. But God was with him. He made it through even with those winds. And he is so scared of those winds. But he did great.
And the storm was too bad for her to be able to just leave her car
Yeah.
and walk to him that night. But the next morning, if she hadn't been able to get home, she would have left her car and walked to him and tended to him, and then, decided if she was coming back with us or what she was doing.
Yeah, we're only a few miles from each other, which isn't bad. I mean, walking, it's not always fun, but we did it a lot when we were kids.
Something my husband mentioned that happened during this last storm in our community that had never happened in all the years that we had been here is they opened up the town office for a warming station and cell phone charging station.
Yep.
And that was never anything that they did, but they did that, and keep that in mind.
Town offices, fire stations. I've heard of quite a few in recent years starting to do that.
Yeah. So if you don't have supplies and stuff and you're cold, do that. Like, you can go home at bedtime and get underneath all your covers and you're fine. But like during the day, if you're not working, or like after work, that in between time. And Corey also mentioned, which I didn't think of this because we don't have one in our town, but if you live in a town like with a local library or something like that, that would be a good place if you don't have backup heat to get in there and kill quite a bit of your time throughout the day.
Yep.
So what do we want to tell them about things that we experience in general? You can be thinking about that. I did notice in this last storm also, some of you do like solar generators or everything solar powered. It would not have worked. My solar powered candles in the window could not even get enough charge in the storm to light the next night.
Right.
So that's a great plan for like if there was a war or something like that and our power was down for a long time and you had sunny days, but it is not the answer for storms.
Right.
If you're set up all solar and you're thinking this is great, it's the latest technology, I won't need to get gas up ahead and all of that, it proved no.
Right.
Not even the solar candles. And a generator is going to take need a lot more sun than just a solar candle.
Honestly, that brings to mind the idea of options with any of the things. Not saying to stockpile in huge amounts and be unreasonable, but so if you were relying only on like the solar candles, you wouldn't have had any light. But both Melanie and I keep flashlights, candles, and there's so many other options. You had the big work light going when I was a kid, especially. I mean, I still have it at the house. I don't use it as much, but my mother always kept the kerosene lantern available, and they even have those that they sell as like camping lanterns that are still being made. So there's different ones, but to keep, even if it's just one or two of different options available.
And if you want to do the kerosene lanterns like that, the thrift store is a great place to find some older, beautiful ones that you can just leave out all the time that are right there, ready to light. Talking about lighting and all of that, this is a good tip for you, Zach. One of Corey's favorite things to do in a power outage is to bring up a car battery and set it beside his chair. And then he brings up one of those, what are those called? Where you can plug the outlets, regular outlets in, Zach. What's that called?
We were totally talking about this the other day.
And he hooks it onto his battery, so like it was like he was trucking inverter.
There we go.
And then he plugs his cell phone in and he plugs in anything he wants to plug in right there. And he'll do that like the first night rather than starting the generator. And he loves that trick.
Yeah, that is a really good idea.
He can charge stuff up just like that. It doesn't take as long as some of the other ways that you might try to charge something up during a power outage. We have a gas generator, and we ran that until 2:30 each day. And then we shut it down to conserve gas and then just let the house cool through the night. And I wore long johns and used a lot of blankets and stuff. It cost us over 3 days, $15 in gas to run the gas generator. We always keep 10 gallons on hand. We do not have any gas stations near us. And you don't want to keep tons on hand. Like a lot of channels will tell you to keep a whole bunch of gas, like a year's worth of gas on hand, but it doesn't keep. It will clog up your carburetors and stuff like that, and it will not keep. I've even seen stuff catch on fire with old gas before.
Right.
So that's another thing to keep in mind.
Keep anything that you have should be cycled. Gas. We were talking about batteries the other day. I mean, it says you could no good if you have a bunch of flashlights and you've stockpiled batteries, but the batteries have been sitting in storage for a couple of years. You need to be using those batteries and getting new ones.
And so same with food.
Every food, water, anything that you are setting aside, it needs to be cycled through.
If you fill up your water jugs from well water, it's going to go stagnant.
Yeah.
Like every 3 months, 6 months, check it. You may have to pour that out and refill it. A friend of ours, they have the generator that automatically comes on when the power goes out, and it's run by propane, and they get that propane delivered. Okay, 2 problems with that during this last power outage. They were flooded on both sides and couldn't leave their house, and to have people come in was a problem. And they, in the time that we spent $15 on gas, choosing when to run the generator, they spent $200 in propane running it nonstop.
Yep.
So think about this stuff. Like, it might sound great. Oh, I'm just going to be hooked up propane. They deliver. It comes on automatic.
Yep.
I don't touch anything. But when they came to fill that, it was, I'm sure, shocking.
Oh, I bet.
So I was glad to get that information and that cost comparison, because it doesn't matter what your budget is. You can have all kinds of money and you can set yourself up with the most expensive stuff, or you can have $5 that you're going to take to the dollar store and do that here and there as you can and get set up very inexpensively. And I have a video on actual needs in a power outage that shows you, my favorite stuff and what I think you actually need, and nothing that's super expensive, but you could be working towards. And I started a power outage playlist. So the link to that's in the description box if you guys want to check out all of those. I think I have like 13 videos so far, and I will be continuing with these power outage videos. If you're watching and you are new to the channel, I try to film a little bit every power outage, and like I said before, it's constant.
Yeah.
So, okay, what do we want to show them, Marissa? What do you have to show?
First thing on my list is water jugs. So I know Melanie has told you about putting up water, and she uses juice jugs. I often use just a soda bottle, 2-liter soda bottle, or anything like that that's going to have a fairly good seal, stand upright on its own, and be filled with a good amount of water. My mother started one other thing when I was a kid. I grew up in a not huge family, but by the standards of the day and age that I was growing up, a good sized family. There's 4 of us kids, and when I say there was always a lot of laundry to do, there was always a lot of laundry to do. And so they would buy laundry detergent in the big jugs. And so Mom's trick was she would save these jugs, and once they were empty, did not rinse them out, nothing. Soap stayed in. And she would fill these and set them off to the side. And these are awesome in a power outage for multiple reasons. First of all, don't drink it. It still has soap in it. So this is not drinking water. And for one thing, that I find very helpful, because I know I'm not using my drinking water for something else. So this is a good amount for flushing a toilet. It's a good amount for doing dishes. You can just pour it right out. This end opens up and it's a full hole. You can pour right out that end to fill a pot, heat the water, and do your dishes. And Melanie was pointing out the other night, she's like, and we didn't even have to add any soap because there was already soap in it. So that's handy. My favorite trick about these is they're made to dispense soap. You set them up on a shelf or the side of your sink like this over your sink. And now you can wash your hands anytime you need to. With 4 children in the house, that had to have been a lifesaver. And I remember it distinctly as something that she would set that right up, go wash your hands. Okay, I'm off and I'm washing my hands. So these are very handy to have.
They are. And if you don't buy that kind of detergent, fill whatever detergent jugs you do buy, the same deal. If you live in the city, the town, chances are you're going to have water in a power outage unless it was a horrific reason why the power was out. But just like a storm, you will. But if you're on your own well, you will not have water. So you're not going to flush the toilet until you do number 2. So that toilet's a little unfresh by the time you flush it. And if you've never flushed a toilet in a power outage, you're going to pour enough water to fill like a mop bucket, and then you're going to dump it as fast as you can. And that will force the toilet to flush. So if you have your water stored in laundry detergent jugs for those sorts of things, that's like freshening your toilet when you flush.
Yes.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah,
and
don't pour it in the back of the toilet. You're pouring it right in
the bowl as fast as you can from a bucket. And so that is fantastic. Now, my favorite drinking water jugs are just these juice jugs like this. These are easy for me to handle. I fill these, put them at the back of the cupboard, and have quite a few of these for drinking water. Now, Corey has some bigger jugs down in the basement, but I don't want to lift on those. I don't want to handle those. This is my go-to here. They're free if I'm buying juice anyways. And I like the handle on them.
Yeah.
They're just super handy. Now, rainwater, snow, all of that. Yeah. Chances are, if you have a power outage, you're having rain or you're having snow. Now, put a bucket out there, catch your rainwater. If it's snowing and you need to wash up some dishes, scoop your pot rounded with snow because it takes more snow.
It takes a lot of snow.
And go ahead and boil that. And you can bring some in, put it by the fire, let it thaw out for flushing the toilet. If you hear there's high winds coming, like they're saying for Wednesday in Maine, and you might have a power outage, fill your bathtub first. If you fill your bathtub first, there's your water for flushing the toilet. Fill every big kettle you've got when you hear that the power might go out. Yes, it's a pain if it doesn't and you have to pour it back out, but it's more of a pain
if you don't have the water.
If you don't have it.
It really is.
So really, as soon as you hear that there might be one, it gives you quite a bit of time to prep, even if you didn't prep anything ever before.
One of the things that we were discussing the other day, something I'd seen recently, was a lady who she wanted to store water. She didn't necessarily have a huge amount of space to set aside extra containers of water, but she can. And so if she had an empty canning jar, it already had to be stored. She would fill the canning jar, put a lid on it, and put it on the shelf. And so that was her way of putting aside water for those instances. But you just find a container that would work for you and set water aside.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Maria says, there is this prepped channel I watch, and she was talking about this plastic 7-gallon jug for water. And I thought it wasn't good to store water in plastic. I wouldn't worry about it, Maria. I would not worry about it.
Especially if you're checking on it.
And especially because it's an emergency situation. You know, You might not want to pour all your drinking water for the rest of your life out into plastic,
Right.
but don't worry about those little things. You know, your juice comes in this jug and you're
Yeah.
drinking it. Your Poland Springs water comes in a plastic
Yeah.
jug and you're drinking it. Just check on it frequently,
Right.
like I say, because it will go stagnant if you're not getting it switched out. She says, okay, good for you. What else on water? Is there anything else we should be telling them on water? If you watched my last video where I kind of vlogged a little bit during the power outage, I had mentioned if you get caught off guard and you're really not prepared, sometimes you have your tea kettle that will have enough water in there that you can at least brush your teeth and wash up for work or something.
Yep. We have the blessing on our own properties, you and I, of dug wells. Not everyone has that as an option.
Like a hand dug well.
Yeah. So we have the opportunity of just dropping a bucket and pulling up water. Not everybody has that, but at least in the state of Maine, because we have a lot of water, there is a high possibility that you can find a spring, a river, a lake, some body of water in an emergency as well.
Yeah, I have down over the hill from me a little pond.
Yeah.
The water isn't the cleanest, but it's fine for flushing the toilet or if you had to boil it for dishes. Up in the woods, there's a spring. Plus, there is a little brook there. It would be a few minutes for me to hike to it,
Right.
but if for some reason my hand dug well was
Yeah.
dry and I didn't have anything, I'd gone through all my resources. It's good to know everything you've got.
Yeah, and I have the same as Melanie on my end of town with a lake at the bottom of the hill and then water sources across the road.
Becky says, because of Melanie, we now have a propane camp stove and heater. Cowboy coffee is wonderful. Thank you. Yes, guys. Check out that playlist because I show you how to make coffee in a percolator pot and how to do it in just a regular little kettle without anything fancy. Maria says, the other thing, it sounds like we should have enough water for a lifetime. I'm wondering where to store it all. Well, you don't have a basement, so that's my number one pick. In a closet, in the garage, in the attic.
Yeah.
Spare bedroom.
Yep. The back of your cupboard where you always lose things anyway.
Yeah, I have a cupboard that comes right into a V and it goes clear of the wall. It had a Lazy Susan and I had Jacob cut it out and I can access the whole corner. And I line them juice jugs up in there and it's unreal how many I can get in there. Maria says, I just ordered the propane camp stove. Thanks to Melanie. Same as Becky. You're going to love it, Maria, because you can make pretty much anything you had planned on for the week. I just need to get those propane bottles. Yes. And if anybody's watching, you can get a Coleman camp stove or you can get a single burner and it uses these little tanks and the single burner just screws right on top of one of these tanks. Or you can get the 2-burner stove, whichever you can afford. And I recommend at least having 4 of these for short-term power outage. If whatever you use during your power outage, get it replaced immediately.
Yeah.
So that you always have that.
Well, we had that
hand.
power outage, what, a week and a half ago?
Mhm.
And we have a possibility of another one this coming week.
Yeah. So, and when I went to get 4 of those, I had used, I think, 3. And I went to get 4 and I said to Corey, I feel like I should get 8.
Yeah.
And, you know, so, but get a few at a time. You don't need to get all this at once.
Well, and talking about the camp stove, one of the things that when we were discussing this Thursday, one of the differences that Melanie and I have is you use the camp stove because you have an electric stove.
Mm-hmm.
I have still got a propane cook stove. And when the power's out, the ignition doesn't work. but that doesn't stop me from being able to use the top of the stove. All I need is a lighter or a match. And you have to be careful. You have to pay attention to what you're doing, but you can light that just as easily as the Coleman, and you're good to go.
Yep. And we used to have the propane
Yeah.
stove like that. I just got too old to mess around with propane and wanted an electric stove. So that's why I have the camp stove. Let's see. I just need to get those propane bottles. Walmart wouldn't ship, but that's my next thing to get. Yep. And if Walmart doesn't have them, your hardware stores will have them. I cannot wait. Maria, when you get it, cook like a supper on it when it's not a power outage. That way, when you have a power outage, you're more comfortable with it because you might be panicking a little bit. Becky says she's a Jewel. Also, our electric went out for 2 days right after, and we used it and it worked well.
Awesome.
Becky, I'm so glad you got that. You were able to keep right up with your regular meals. Maria says she might be headed to get it tomorrow. Yes, do that because you don't want to have that storm come Wednesday and be trying to cook on the barbecue grill. Maria says, thank God Becky had the stove. That's a great idea to test it out. Yes. Now, what if we had such a long-term power outage that you needed more than the stove? Well, if you live in Maine, chances are you can walk out in your yard and get some sort of wood.
Yeah.
We have outside the charcoal barbecue grill, which I mostly use wood in.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a couple bags of charcoal. We have a rocket stove. If you guys aren't sure what that is, it's basically like a gallon size little stove, and it just takes twigs. You could just break branches and stuff off, or like I have the pellet stove, I could use my wood pellets in it, and that's just big enough to put like one little pot on top, but very efficient for firewood. Plus we have the wood stove outside. We have a wood stove downstairs. It's not hooked up, but in a long-term emergency, it could be hooked up for our house heat and a cook on. So starting with the propane stove is my recommendation, but then if you get all of that and you're looking for an additional backup, there's some other thoughts. And of course, like with Maria, she's got the regular propane barbecue grill, and it's not like that fun to cook on if it's
but it is
cold, but it's
possible
possible in a bad emergency.
And we have just a regular heat house wood, so that's how I would do it.
Oh, and Zach, I think you'd have to check into a hardware store and ask some questions, but I think you can get an adapter for your barbecue grill size propane tank to be able to hook that into your little camp stove too. Becky says, yes, go get them, Maria. I want you to be prepared. Yes, we want Maria to be prepared. We want everybody watching, either on the live or the playback, to be prepared. Becky had really had power outages before, and then she had that 2-day one. So even if you live in a location, you don't experience them and you're like, this is ridiculous, you will thank us for pushing you to get a little bit of what you need.
And you don't necessarily need a lot. Just have enough for the basics.
You need light. We love these candles from Dollar Tree. These are our favorite candles. They're safe, because there's a lot of glass and your flame is down further.
They're unscented.
They're unscented. When you get a lot of scents going during a power outage, you get a migraine. They last a long time. I like to leave them out as part of my decor and then just light them when the power suddenly goes out, because mine goes out that often. But what we did want to show them the new one.
So this one's brand new. Just picked it up this week.
This is what can happen when you don't have a candle snuffer, and I'm guilty. I need to get one. Just blowing it out, they can get like this over the course of days of using them a lot. And you want to wash that out.
Make sure you clean the glass,
because you're not going to get as much light when they get like that. But a candle snuffer will stop them from getting like that. And I need to find one of those. These are Dollar Tree. love these. We have big, expensive lanterns. This is no joke. We have one of these in every room, and this is our preference. Everybody loves these. They're lightweight. They take just no, I'm sorry, 3 AA batteries, but you could get the rechargeable ones. My husband gets a discount at the hardware store, so we can get these throwaway ones so cheap, it's crazy. But they're just fantastic. You can hang them, you can take them everywhere with you. We're actually on the lookout for some more. You might have to go into a few Dollar Trees to find these. They have some black ones that are like flatter. They're not as good. If it's all they have, great. But these blue ones are awesome.
So obviously not everyone has the opportunity for this one, but I was in Martin's right before Christmas, and I always check the hardware section for stocking stuffers. There's too many guys in the family. We got to check the hardware section. And I picked up real small flashlight, and again, not everyone's going to have Martin's, but keep an eye out for small flashlights. If they're inexpensive, test them out and find the ones that you particularly like. Maybe you're not going to like the one that we did, or maybe you can't find it. So I'm not saying go buy a bunch of different lights or anything, but if one looks like it's going to be somewhat reliable or anything like that, try out some different lights. Make sure you know what it's going to take for batteries and have a few on hand. Those are great. And have different styles too. That has been very helpful.
It really is helpful to have different styles. And Marissa gifted me a package of these tonight. I'm super excited. And let's see. So light, water, going to the bathroom. We touched a little on that, and this isn't people's favorite topic. But what if you get caught off guard? You don't have enough water to flush your toilet. How are you going to go to the bathroom? You take a 5-gallon pail. You can take your toilet seat right off of your toilet and just set that toilet seat on that pail and use the bathroom if you need to. Those plastic shopping bags like we used to get, you can put one of those in the pail if you need to. If not, you're going to have to at least wipe it out, dump it in, wipe it out. You could just take a roll of toilet paper and head for the woods.
Yep.
If you're in the country, don't think, well, geez, I can't do that. Of course you can do that.
Yeah.
Why not? That's what you do if you're out 4-wheeling or
hunting, fishing,
whatever.
Anytime you're away from anything.
You can always do that if you need to. You could get a porta toilet, which doesn't take a lot of water. And I don't even buy the chemical for that. I just put a little dish soap in there, or those laundry jug things with the water would work out great. We will set up the porta toilet if it's a super long outage, if we're getting down on water or whatever. But of course, we do have the hand dug well.
Right.
What if it's out long enough that you need more than a sponge bath? What if you need to do your hair? She's the expert on washing your hair in a bucket. I want to tell them how you do it in detail.
Well, to start with, if I know there's going to be a power outage that lasts of any length of time, I would do what I can beforehand so that I'm not looking to wash my hand every day or every other day. So for me, it'd be a braid, a bun, something to pull my hair up, get it out of the way, get it so it's not moving a lot and getting a lot of dirt and stuff through it. Melanie was talking about using kerchiefs and other things to cover her hair, which would work as well.
Dry shampoo.
Helps. I get headaches, so I have to be really careful about not adding anything extra to my hair. But if I braid it really good and just keep it out of the way, that helps a lot. But washing your hair in a bucket is really simple. It hurts the neck just a little bit because you're going to end up upside down or your head upside down over the bucket. But you need a bucket with water in it.
How much water?
I don't know. Usually, a lot of times I'm using the tub or the sink, which has running water. But I have been known to, fill a large mixing bowl and use that.
Okay.
And the other thing that I would so recommend. I've seen people try to wash their hair without it. It's not very helpful. Some kind of a cup, usually plastic, because you don't want to drop a glass cup on your head. But just a plastic drinking cup, and you're going to pick up the water and just pour it over your head, pour it over your hair, and focus mainly on the bulk of the hair, and then get up to the top. Scrub. You're not going to want loads and loads of soap, because if you have loads and loads of soap, then you have to use loads and loads of water to get it out. But
Less is
just
more.
enough to be able to, clean the majority of it, and again, hit mostly the length. And then really good in here. And you can either do that over a bucket, over a sink, over something. A lot of times I'll have one bucket of water and one bucket for the dirty water to go into, and then that dirty water can be put to use, say, flushing the toilet or something like that.
That's what I was gonna say. If you do it over a bucket instead of down the sink, you can reuse that water. And reusing water, you wash the dishes, do it in a dishpan, so you can flush the toilet with it after.
The two best places I have washed my hair in a bucket so many times, but either over the side of a bathtub, because you have that to help, hold your body. So like kneeling on the outside of the tub, bucket on the inside. That is a a decent way to do it. Or if your kitchen sink is taller, that's not too bad.
Yeah. And if your hair's long, you're literally gonna be dunking it.
Yes.
It's gonna be swishing in there if you put it down. Becky says newspaper is the best way to clean these out. And she says they use headlamps. Yes, if you have headlamps, that's a great one. I don't think of that. She bought my guys headlamps and they use them at work, but I don't have one, so I don't ever think of that. I
never remember to use them, but that was one of the benefits that I found with this flashlight, was it has a clip on the back, and I can clip it right to my shirt.
Maria says dry shampoo is the best. It is, and it can be expensive, but Dollar Tree has it often. And I always keep watch for the full size bottles. They always have the stubby, but they get a lot of the full size ones. And Martin's gets it sometimes inexpensive. And I keep those on hand, and wipes of some sort, because even for your hands, if you need to, or wiping up a counter or something like that during a power outage. Farm Dog USA says headlamps are my favorite. Going to check on the livestock. Okay, Farm Dog, thanks for joining us.
I think that's for going to check on the livestock. Behind our little...
behind our heart. I thought she was leaving us already. I thought she'd been setting her silent and was leaving us. Or he. We don't know who Farm Dog USA is. I've showed this on my other videos. This is an emergency radio. This is what I was listening to during the power outage while I was crafting. And I was really having quite a fantastic time as a solar panel. It also has a hand crank. And you can charge it up this way, cranking it.
Many times.
Okay. It's also got, I'm a little challenged with it. Somewhere's on here, it's got the place to charge your cell phone. Right there. And it's got a flashlight. And 15, 20 bucks for these. Well worth it. If you're sitting there day after day in a power outage, to be able to listen to Christian radio, or I was listening to Christian music, is so uplifting. And to know what's going on with the news and stuff too.
Yeah, and a power outage could come for many different reasons. So you being able to get the news would be very handy.
And Corey's got these zip ties on here. I don't know if this is like so you can hang it at this length, or then you can hang it at this length. I have no idea, but
throw it over your wrist very easily.
I think I need to get myself one too, because sometimes he's using it and I'm jealous. It's like really one of those things I'm not sure that we like sharing. It's so good.
So on the topic of charging cell phones, which a lot of us have at this point, most of us, and some people that is most of their life is on there. Until this week, I didn't have a clock in the house because, by the way, they're expensive. I was getting frustrated, so my phone was my clock, and even in a power outage, I need to know what time to get up to go to work. So the ability to charge a phone, even for something as simple as that, is handy. I have a battery pack. So this is my battery pack. This is another option that I found floating around my house. So they're different battery packs that you can just keep on hand. And I have it on hand for something like, road trips or whatever. It gives more options, but that can give me at least a full day extra with my cell phone. Now, when I'm using my cell phone, we are in low signal areas. And when you're in low signal areas, it'll drain your battery a lot faster, especially with power out and therefore no Wi-Fi. So what I will do, and this is something to keep in mind for any of you as well, let the important people know that you're going to be doing this so that they don't panic if you are not reachable, and say, I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode or whatever for so many hours. And then every few hours you turn it back on, check it. And that gives you the ability, like I had to leave my phone on overnight in order for the alarm to go off. I couldn't just turn it off, but putting it on airplane mode, letting, my parents know, hey, you will not be able to get a hold of me all night. But come morning, I'll turn it back on. So that, as well as the battery packs, gave me pretty good battery life over the power outage.
I usually don't charge my cell phone during a power outage because this is going to sound insane, but I like power outages.
Oh, me too.
I like the quiet, the disconnect from everything modern. And usually I just let it go out and use the landline. I have the emergency regular telephone, not like a cordless, but the regular telephone that I plug in. And that's usually what I do. But because of all of you guys on YouTube that I love so much, and you worry, I keep my cell phone charged and do frequent updates and texting. But otherwise, no way. I have the landline. But I really want one of those little clocks, like bedside battery or
this week.
wind up
Done.
alarm clock. I need to add that to my list because it is getting so we don't have as many clocks. Yeah. So let's see. Let's talk about paper plates, plastic silverware. I see so many people using their prepping money and their power outage money, stocking that stuff. Have you guys seen the price of that stuff? Like, if you can afford it and it makes your life easier, go for it. But if you are on a tight budget, you do not need that stuff during a power outage. Because you're going to need to wash your frying pan, your kettle, something you're going to get eventually enough stuff. You got to wash dishes. Don't boil water every time you eat a meal. Let them stack up a little bit so that when you boil your water, it's worth the effort to wash them. Do them like once a day, but don't get all that extra stuff unless you really can afford it. I've never had it. It's not necessary. I'm comfortable enough in a power outage. One time I even made bacon wrapped scallops and mashed potatoes, gravy, and several vegetables and all of that on my camp stove. I realize some of you don't feel that way, but like the night Marissa came over, I thought I was going to be home alone.
Yeah.
So I wasn't planning really much for supper. It was just going to be me. I might eat supper, I might not. Whatever. My guys got sent home from work because they couldn't run the mill. So then I had them. And then Marissa was here, and then I had her, and I had just boiled water
Yeah.
and cleaned all the dishes. So I didn't want this big flow of dishes. So we made a power outage chili, and it was a dump chili, cans of beans. We had some freeze-dried hamburger Nessas we put in, but if we didn't, we would have just skipped the
Yeah.
hamburger. Jars of tomato. If you got jars of salsa, that works good. We threw in a packet of taco seasoning. We just brought it to a boil because we didn't want to wait, and we didn't want to waste the propane. And it's not the best chili you've ever had if you just bring it to a boil, but it was good, and it was hot, and it was cold in the house, and it felt great.
Yeah, that would be my tip. Is, I mean, like Melanie said, she feels comfortable enough in a power outage to do a full fancy dinner from the sounds of it.
Well, nothing else is going on.
Right. Especially if you're not comfortable, or depending on how limited your means are in the situation, stick to limited dishes. Meaning, do a one pot chili. Don't go and make Thanksgiving dinner. You don't need your main and a bunch of sides or something like that. Keep it simple for your own mental health, because that is going to be a big thing. Is you gotta do what's gonna work for you in the situation. Do not stress yourself because you can't do a normal meal. That's fine. Make it fun. Make it, different. There's nothing that's wrong with that.
Jacob said when he was a kid, he looked forward to the power outage
we always
chili.
did.
He knew as soon as the power went out, I was going to get chili started.
Power outages for us meant we got to stay up later and we could play board games and candlelight.
And that's a good point. Keep a positive attitude. Yeah. What can you do in the power outage you don't normally do? I like to catch up on Bible study and reading a good book. Yeah. And you cannot imagine how relaxing it can be to do some of that by candlelight or lantern light. Show them that blue cup. Yeah. And a power outage, if you have a set of cups that are all the same, don't use those. Because then it's going to be whose cups whose. Get some more unique cups out so that you can use it all day before you watch it.
Even if it's a coffee cup, honestly. Most people don't have matching coffee cups.
Right. But that is the biggest problem, like, especially if you have kids and they're like, well, I don't know whose cups who, and then you got 20 cups at the end of the day.
You're at my house, you just get an eventual, we're all related, just grab one.
Maria says, I was going to say we would be sending SOS to find out if you were okay, and you didn't answer your phone. Yeah. Nobody else would. They'd be like, she's fine. She's got the landline in emergency.
Oh, one tip that I had, and again, if you don't deal with power outages, you may not think of this, is simply don't go opening the fridge and freezer.
Yeah.
You don't know how long you're going to be without power. I'm not saying don't open it. Like, I had to get stuff out to make my meals. But what I would do is I would plan ahead. I'd say, okay, I know I'm going to want this stuff to make sandwiches in 20 minutes. I'm taking it all out now because I need to get this out now. And I would take everything out in one go, set it on the counter, and then, try to open and close it as little as possible. I don't think I opened the freezer at all. And that held the cold in a lot better than it would if you keep opening it.
I've never lost food during a power outage, but we've never had a power outage in hot weather that was any length of time. One lady left a comment on my channel. I was hoping she's going to be able to make the live. That I think she said she had a 6-week power outage in hot weather during a hurricane.
I think that's what you told me.
And I don't have any experience with that. I can imagine what I would do, but it's always in cold weather. Well, if your freezer is full, and maybe if your freezer isn't full, it's a problem. My freezer is so full every week when I go to the grocery store, I have to pray to get the last item in there and get the door shut on both my freezers. So that's like so many ice packs, all that frozen, that does not thaw out anytime soon. And think about this, even if it does, this is still refrigerator temperature. Because if it's still refrigerator temperature and it hasn't been too many days, you could just refreeze it. How long would you leave meat in your refrigerator before you ate it? Use those kinds of thoughts on this. Marissa did have some bananas she had to use right away because those
I'm
kind of
not
get a little
refreezing bananas. Pushed together.
make it a little soupy. She made banana bread as soon as she got a chance. She has the full propane stove, including the oven. But in most cases, you're okay. And if you're not okay, get that stuff outside in the snowbank if it's cold. Get it in coolers. If it was the summer after this lady's comment, I really was thinking, what would I do? I would start dehydrating and canning everything as fast as I could. I get a big wood fire going outside and I get my canner on there and I would can and dehydrate. And I have those hanging bags that are dehydrators. But you could put stuff out on a tarp or a sheet on the lawn in the sun. You could put it on cookie sheets in the sun. You could put it in your vehicle on anything that you could find. You could string it on thread. They used to do that and hang it up that way to dry. Am I missing anything?
Not that I can think of, but after our conversation last time, I got to thinking another option. Again, not everyone has the same things in place that they can use. But even way back, water was used to keep things cool. So I dug well.
Oh, yes.
Put it in a bucket, drop it down. Even a lake or a river or something like that. Even in the summertime, so long as you have, like, get a hold of it and you drop it. The water is going to stay much cooler than, the air up above.
And your basement.
Yep.
Your basement's going to be cooler than upstairs in your house if it's a hot day. So there's some different thoughts we had on that. If the power outage gets to be to the week-long point, we pull up water from the hand dug well and we boil it and we pour it in the bathtub and we have a nice long bath, each one of us. And do that. If you're running a generator, you can draw some water for that and boil it. If you need to take a ride down to a lake and scoop up water in those laundry jugs and bring it home so you can do that. You get to the point you have to do that. If you have to, like if your kids are trying to go to school and you're trying to go to work and you need that bath every other day or something like that. I've never done this, but this is what they used to do way back. You put the cleanest person in the water first and work your way to the dirtiest person because nobody wants to get in after the dirty person. And you just all use the same water. You're still going to be cleaner than if you didn't.
And you also have sponge baths.
Yes. And let me see. What else do we want to talk about with power outages?
I don't know, but I do have to get going.
Okay.
So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I have to go to work in the morning, so I will be heading out. And it was lovely seeing you all. See you Thursday.
Okay, bye, Marissa. Thanks for joining us. You guys are going to hear Slippy scream when she leaves in a second, but I'm going to be with you for a while longer still. I think we still had a few things to talk about. If you guys have any questions, please ask me. We've rapid fire hit every topic here that we can think of with power outages, popping back and forth between the different power outage topics. Slippy, you stay here a minute. Wait for Marissa. I don't want you slipping out the door on her. I'll let you go once she goes. Okay. What do we got for comments? Maria, I know Becky would agree. Yes, she would. Farm Dog USA, they also sell soap that is safe to use in the lakes and rivers. I did not know that. That is a good tip. I've always just used whatever I had for soap, but they don't like you to do that. So that is a very good tip. I don't know what that's called, but I'm sure we could Google that and figure that out. Um, Sloopy's barking like crazy right now. Is that coming through? It's the sound so far tonight. I'm probably going to have to go put her outside because she's not going to stop screaming. So hold on. I will be back. Okay, laundry. That's the other thing that we didn't talk about in a power outage. You can wash it in a basin or a sink. The wringing it out is the hardest part to get it wrung out. Even if it's the winter, you're going to want to get it out on the clothesline and it will freeze. And then you can shake it and the ice will come off. And then you can bring it in and hang it up, but it will get all that dripping out because you won't be able to get it wrung out enough to be able to hang it up inside. It will be just flooding the floors. Marissa still does a lot of hand washing of her laundry, even if it's not a power outage. And if she can't get it outside, she will put cookie trays on the floor underneath the clothes racks to kind of catch some of that water that's dripping out. She has this little bucket thing now that she steps on and she puts the clothes in there and it will wring it out dry enough. If anybody can afford to invest in that, I picked up from the reusables at the dump one of those industrial mop buckets that you put the mop in and you pull the handle. I picked up one of those for a power outage or if my washer quits short term to be able to wring them out that way, because even to wring them out as much as I can, it really hurts my hands at this point. Oh, you can hear certain levels of the bark, but not the highest point. Well, that's good. Nobody wants to hear the highest point. That rings even my ears. It's horrific. So I picked up a little plastic washboard recently for $3, $4, something like that, that I can use in the sink if I need to. Years ago, I'd always just do it in the bathtub and stoop over, and you could use like a scrub brush too, but it really bothers your back as you get older to be bent over the bathtub doing laundry. I have seen some people use like a brand new plunger, not one you've used in the toilet, and they kind of agitate it that way. But I've always found you really need to scrub it to get it clean. Okay, I think that's all the topics we were going to hit tonight. Does anybody have any questions before we end the live about any of this or any thoughts of anything I missed? I don't know if I mentioned long johns while I'm waiting for you guys to answer that. Long johns make such a difference in your comfort level. Like for me, I get arthritis like in my lower back if it gets cool in here, but the long johns keep that from happening. That makes a big, big difference in my day to have long johns on during a power outage. Oh, thank you, Becky. I appreciate it. I don't do so well doing lives this time of night. I'm kind of tired. That's why I never do the Bible themed ones later like this, because I'm afraid I'll be too tired to focus. Um, but I thought this would be a more popular time tonight, and we've got less people than we normally have on the Bible topics at 5 o'clock. So Well, all right, guys, if you don't have any questions, thank you for coming. I enjoyed talking to all of you guys tonight. And if we do get that power outage on Wednesday, I will be filming something new and interesting for you guys. Don't forget to check out the power outage playlist. There's 13 videos in there. And you definitely want to make some of that cowboy coffee like Becky was talking about. I make my coffee in a percolator every day, and I still think sometimes it turns out better just in the plain dipper, the cowboy style coffee. Okay, guys, we'll see you hopefully Thursday for Testimony Thursday at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the topic is going to be putting on the armor of God. Okay, guys, bye.